As you guys join us today, really grateful for the opportunity to visit with y'all again, all the familiar faces. Excited to talk about the two guys joining our program. Offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach Joe Craddick will be joining us. Joe's a Birmingham native, from the state of Alabama, which I think is a really an added benefit to his resume and what he's about. But Joe comes to us from UAB. Prior to that was the offensive coordinator at Arkansas. Before that, the offensive coordinator at SMU. So has been an offensive coordinator at a high level. Knows the game really well. Has been a part of a couple different systems. Excited about his vision, his plan for how to build an identity on offense. I think he's got a really good vision for how we're gonna create a physical but yet explosive offense here at Troy. With a good vision of how to get that done. And then Sheila Wood joins us coming from Army. Sheila was a co-defensive coordinator at Army the last couple of years and the safeties coach. Sheila is originally from South Carolina, played at Wofford, coached at Wofford, and then has coached at Georgia Tech and Georgia State as well as Army. And so has a great grasp of the Southeast region as well, being from South Carolina and having coached twice in the state of Georgia, Georgia State and Georgia Tech. And then Army's played really good defense the last couple of years. I mean, look what they've done, and they've played the game the right way. Structurally, Shield's done some things similar to what I've been a part of the last few years. There are some differences, and I'm excited about some of those differences and allowing him to have freedom in running the stuff he's been a part of. I think it'll fit what we already have existing as a really good defense, and just trying to figure out new and unique ways to continue to be multiple and attack people and keep them off balance and create negative plays. So excited about both these guys joining us. Believe in both of them. Think they're both great men. I'll close with that. I wanted to hire guys in those leadership roles that were men of character, that were family men, that were going to do things the right way, and that were going to lead our student athletes how to be men. And I think the game of football, these guys are very knowledgeable, but I also think they're men of character. They're going to represent Troy the right way on and off the field, and excited to do life with them and coach with them daily and see them continue to help us take this program to new heights. So with that being said, open it up to any questions. Anybody got anything at all? Have at it.
Hey, John, this is John Johnson from the Dothan Eagle. Can you kind of give us an update if you've retained any from the previous staff and a timeline on when you do want to get everyone hired and in place?
Yeah, so we've been hard at work on hiring everyone. I mean, I know I've got two hires made official, and it's these two that are new, so everybody's probably wondering, like, okay, is this a marathon? And yeah, it is. We're not trying to win a sprint here. But one of those deals where since I've hired Joe and Sheila, we've been hard at work filling out the offensive and defensive staff. We are going to have three guys that are going to be retained from on-field coaching positions from the previous staff. Those three are Bam Hardman will continue to be here as our outside linebackers coach. Al Pogue will coach our corners, and Gary Banks will continue to be our wide receivers coach here. And so those three men will continue in the roles they've been in. And then we've been very aggressive and talked to a lot of candidates about joining our staff. The interest in this job and joining this staff on this job has been very, very high. A lot of guys with very impressive resumes, and a lot of guys that are hungry and eager to be a part of what we're doing. And so we're close on finishing this thing up staff-wise. Have been very deliberate and thorough and detailed for a reason. I want to make sure we get it right. You know, I've used this line a lot, but I continue to do it. Is we're going to measure twice and cut once. I'm not trying to figure out can I get this done overnight. I want to make sure we get it done right. So we're close, but those are the three guys that will be retained, and then we are currently in the process of finalizing the last pieces of our on-the-field coaching staff. I think you'll probably, within the next week, have a pretty good idea of where all that's headed.
One last question from me on that. I know this is new for you too as a head coach. The process of finding these guys, is it more they applying for the job? Are you looking for certain people? How does it work?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So, I can explain that in a couple different ways on the two guys that you'll meet with here in just a minute. Joe, I'd coached against in 2019. He was offensive coordinator at Arkansas, and I was at Kentucky. and we played them in the regular season. And there was a lot of things formationally and some stuff that gave us issues. I remember watching it and thinking, all right, these guys are stressing us and challenging us in a lot of different ways. When Joe went with Chad Morris to SMU from Clemson, he coached at Clemson prior to going to SMU with Chad. They took over a team that had not been very good offensively. They were ranked in the hundreds in most offensive categories, and I believe last year they were 8th in the country in total offense. So I wanted to see who was out there that had been experienced around taking something maybe that didn't have an identity and figuring out how to make it better by putting his stamp on something. And Joe had done that as offensive coordinator at SMU. That went to Arkansas and really did a better job than a lot of people realize. I think probably didn't get the full opportunity to see that job through. Has been at UAB and done some really good things the last couple of years. And so I think having been a coordinator at a high level, that mattered to me on hiring Joe. And then also having walked into some offensive situations that weren't easy and trying to get them corrected and fixed and improved was a big deal. And then his Alabama ties helped. But so just knowing, having watched what he had been a part of and what he had done and having coached against Joe helped him stand out to me a little bit. And then with Shiel, have clinicked with Shiel, have a lot of mutual crossover relationships with Shiel in regards to other coaches in the profession that have worked with him. 2 years ago at Baylor, we as a defensive staff at Kentucky were down there, and the Army defensive staff was down there visiting as well with Dave Aranda's staff. And so when we were all down there, I'd already known about Shiel before then, but just had kind of tracked Army. Nate Woody has been one of his mentors. He used to be the defensive coordinator at App. Nate then went to Georgia Tech and is now at Army. And so a system that they've run is similar to what I've been a part of. There are some differences, but it's something I'm very comfortable with. And so both guys just, I think, through what they've done career-wise, stood out. And I think they're both ready to help take Troy football to new heights. But when you go through this, there is an element of you hire some people maybe you know really well, some people you just know about, some people you've coached against. There will be a couple hires that will come here probably shortly that I'm very familiar with, have worked with before, and there will probably be just some guys that Troy people may know, but we're working through it, and we're going to hire the best people for our program for this place.
Hey, Coach, it's Justin down at WTBY in Dothan. I think today is exactly 1 month on the job for you since you were introduced at your press conference. So what were some of the goals you just kind of had for this first month? Did you accomplish them? And just what's this first 30 days been like for you?
Yeah, the first goal I had, honestly, Justin, was make sure our current players and our current roster knew that we were going to put something in place that they could be a part of and be proud of. And so I really came into this not trying to figure out how fast we could hire staff. I came into this trying to figure out how can we make sure our current roster knew what we were about to ask of them would help them be successful. And I think we've established and developed a bunch of relationships that have gone even further than what I already had here. And then I think on top of that, it was making sure we got the right coordinators in place on both sides of the ball. And then after that, start to vet and make sure that we were on the right track position coach-wise. So we are closing in on that. And then really putting the calendar together in regards to what the next 4 to 6 months is going to look like in great detail, which I've spent a lot of time on, and then and really put a lot of emphasis on that stuff. And then the culture piece of things that we're going to do in this offseason to make sure our guys understand what the core values of our program are going to be and what our program is going to be built on. So been a lot of that. And then probably the biggest challenge of all of it was finishing the bowl game at Kentucky while still doing all those things. So just been really, really busy, but been good. And, there's not very many dull moments of the day. There's not a whole lot of time you're just sitting still wondering what to do next. There's always something to do next that's waiting on you.
Hey, Coach, Adam Solomon, Alabama News Network in Montgomery. What does it mean to you to get a guy like Carlton Marshall back for next season?
That's the biggest recruit we've had. I mean, I think in this day and age of the transfer portal and guys declaring early and all this other stuff, your roster matters more than anything else. Carlton Martial's a phenomenal player. You can just look at any game he's played in here, and he's always been productive. The guy, all he does is tackle the guy with the ball. He does it really, really well. Which last time I checked at linebacker, they don't measure you to see if a tackle counts or not. And so every one of his tackles, man, he's physical, he's violent, he plays the game with the right demeanor. He's a leader on our team on and off the field. We're extremely thrilled that Carlton's going to be doing this with us, and I think he's got some unfinished business, and we want to help him achieve it.
In 900
Hey,
feet.
Coach,
Aaron
it's
Taylor here.
Oh, you go ahead. You first.
Okay, sorry, Coach. Aaron Taylor, Trojan Vision here. And I know Joe and Sheila could probably comment on this, and it's early on, but from a Trojan fan perspective and the schemes that we're looking at and you're installing here, how similar, how different do you think that we're going to see the Trojans play under their coordinative schemes next season?
Yeah,
What are you looking for?
I think what Joe and Sheila will both do is they'll both identify what's going to put our players in the best situation to be successful. And so there will be some things that are drastically different. Okay, everything's not going to look the exact same. We also will lean on and embrace what our strengths currently are, and if some of those mean keeping some things the same, we may keep some things the same. There's going to be change, but we're not going to just have change just to say we change things either. We're going to change things that need to get done to help us put our guys in the best situations to be successful as players and as a team. And so, but there will be some changes schematically, structurally to what we're doing. These guys are going to have autonomy to put in place what they need to put in place for us to be successful on each side of the ball. I'll be involved in making sure I know where we're going on each side of the ball and the direction of what we're doing. But these guys are ready to lead their side of the ball respectively, and there will be changes. There will be some things that are the same too. And but at the end of the day, both of them I think will implement putting our best players in the best situation to be successful.
Hey, Coach, it's Haley Sutton over at WSFA. You mentioned getting to coach in the bowl game with Kentucky. Just for you, what was that week like to get to end with a group of guys that, you know, really feels kind of special to you? And how did that kind of get you prepared to be coaching at Troy?
Yeah, I mean, so if you ever hear me talk, I'm going to talk a lot. Everything we're going to do here is going to be players first. And that's kind of the way I've been everywhere I've been my whole career. We'll be a players first program. I went back and coached in the game because I love the kids I got to coach at Kentucky. And so I wanted to finish the job with them. And so that week, me going back, the easy decision for me would have most definitely been not coaching that game and get down here full time and not do two jobs for a little while. But it was the right decision to get to do that game and prepare with them. It was very busy. It did not feel like a normal bowl game. A lot of times a normal bowl game, you go to practice and they usually have like some family time or some activities in the afternoon. I was going to practice and then doing like position coach interviews on Zoom right after. And so there was not a dull moment during the bowl week. And I was very, very busy, but I'm grateful that Troy gave me the opportunity to go back and finish the right way. And I'm also grateful for Coach Stoops having me back to finish with the guys and get to win number 10 at Kentucky and finish the season strong.
This is kind of new to me, this whole Zoom deal, but I just want to say I'm extremely grateful to Coach Sumrall and him trusting me with the offense. I'm extremely excited to be at Troy University. Being from the state of Alabama, I know a lot about this university and its tradition, its past, and I'm just excited to be the offensive coordinator leading the offense on Saturdays at the Vet. So with that, I'll open up with questions.
Hey, Coach, this is Justin McNally down at WTBY in Dothan. Just first off, this opportunity to become the OC at Troy, what was it about this chance that stuck out to you that made you want to take this job?
Well, you know, the biggest thing I would say is I think Coach Sumrall, you know, alluded to it. I've taken over some programs that had a lot of rebuilding to do. This is not a program that we're going to have to rebuild. This is a program that is missing a couple pieces. And that's what I've been spending a lot of my time on doing is trying to find those pieces. And, you know, I've always wanted to stay in Alabama as much as I possibly could. So this opportunity, when Coach Sumrall got this job, this is something I really wanted, something I went after, something, I was really interested in. And, again, just thankful for him for giving me this opportunity.
Hey, Joe, this is John Johnson from the Dothan Eagle. I know you've just been in place a couple of weeks, but looking ahead, Gunnar Watson's really the only quarterback that has any kind of experience on the roster. Will it be wide open coming spring, or does he kind of come in as a front runner, or how are you looking at things?
Well, what we talk about with every position is going to be wide open. This is a whole new staff. We got to create competition across the board at every position. That's one thing that makes people better is somebody behind them pushing them. And I think that, not only at the quarterback position, but at all of them is going to be competition from the word go, from day one. And so with the quarterback room, it'll be no different. It's everything matters. Everything counts. Where you go to class, where do you carry yourself? How do you finish conditioning drills? How do you lead? All those things will be determined in how we decide who starts day one in spring. I see you talking, but I think it might be muted.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I know when you started at SMU, you were like the youngest offensive coordinator in the country. Now that you are now where you are, how much more prepared do you think you are even now as opposed to when you first started in that role?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I actually told Coach Sumrall, look, I've learned so much over my years. Very invaluable things that I'll take with me from UAB, learning Coach Clark's system and Coach Vincent and all the things I learned about being a position coach. In my career, I skipped that step, so to speak. And to go back and just be a position coach again or for the first time and really take a step back and learn how to, deal with people better, learn how to have better relationships with your players. I told Coach Sumrall, you're getting the best Joe Craddick of my career this year. I mean, just because all the things I've learned. I think in anything, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I've just tried to grow myself in the role I was in at UAB every day and pour into the players and, do the best I could, learning, being a sponge, soaking everything up. And I truly believe that I'm ready for this again after taking a step back for a couple years.
Coach, just for you, what's kind of your offensive philosophy? What can people expect out of that side of the ball this year with the Trojans?
Well, I mean, without giving away too many secrets, I'm never going to do that to you guys. Just to let you know, I think that's one of the things I've learned is be a little more secretive in these kind of environments. But we're going to be a spread power team. We're going to run the football, and we're going to be physical. We're going to be violent within the rules, and we're going to knock people off the ball. We're going to be explosive on offense. We got to get our playmakers the football. The things that we did when we were number 8 in the country on offense at SMU was we found a way to get our playmakers the ball. And that was something that took some time at SMU those first 2 years of us working through the offense of schematically and formationally to where we can get our playmakers the ball and put those guys in the best possible situation to help us win games. So, I think you're going to see us identify who's our guys, and you're going to see those guys touch the ball a lot on Saturdays.
Joe, I'm just curious, did you have like a mentor coming up that kind of, helped you along the way?
That's a great question. I would have to refer back to my high school coach, Coach Fred Yancey. He was probably one of the first guys that, I looked up to as a mentor. I got an opportunity to go back and coach with him when I first started my career, and being around him as a coach and as a player, I mean, I would just have to refer to him. I think my dad, my papa, all those people growing up, my dad was really hard on me growing up, taught me right from wrong, all those things. So I would have to say, those 3 people just come to mind. There's been a lot of people along my journey, like Coach Sweeney at Clemson. And there's been a ton that I could go through and say, Jeremiah Castiles. And there's so many people that come to mind when you say that, that I can't think of everybody right now. But there's been a lot of positive influences in my life to get me to where I'm at today.
All right. Well, pleasure to be on with you folks today. I'm excited to be here at Troy. When Coach Sumrall and I started this conversation and this process, it became apparent very quickly in talking with him that this was a great opportunity for me and my family. We're excited to be here. We're excited to be a part of the Troy community, and just really looking forward to helping Coach Sumrall implement his vision for this program throughout this process. He's been just phenomenal in terms of his vision and the way that he's gone about everything that I've been involved with so far, and just trying to do things the right way, being very thoughtful and deliberate in how he's started to structure this whole process, and that's just been phenomenal to witness, and really excites me about the leadership and the vision that he has for Troy football. And again, just excited to be a part of it, and really looking forward to getting my wife and my 2 daughters moved down here, hopefully in the next week and a half or so. They're excited to come on back this way. My wife's from Columbus, Georgia, which isn't too far down the road. So we're certainly excited to be back in the South, and excited to be here at Troy.
Hey, Sheila, this is John Johnson from the Dothan Eagle. I wondered what you knew about Carlton Martial from afar and what you've learned about him since you've been in place.
Great question, John. Didn't know a ton about him prior to starting this process with Coach Sumrall. Quickly as he and I had seen Troy on film a little bit. I coached at Georgia State in 2019. So definitely a little bit of familiarity, but as I started this process with John, talking about the possibility of coming to Troy, one of the things that I started to do was research a lot of things about this program, and obviously looking into the roster, the personnel that was here, just trying to familiarize myself with those guys. And obviously when you start doing that, his name pops up in a lot of searches that you do quite quickly. And then when you throw the tape on and you look at a little bit of film, he's a guy that definitely stands out. So just excited to work with him, excited to meet him. Not only what is impressive to me is he's got all the accolades, he's got the recognition that's been well earned. But as you talk to people about him, the other thing that comes along very quickly in that process is his character, his work ethic, the type of person that he is. And obviously in life, it's a lot of fun when you're able to surround yourself with really good people. So I'm looking forward to his leadership within our defense and what he brings both on the field and then in the classroom and in the locker room as well.
Hey, Coach, this is Justin McNally down at WTBY in Dothan. Coach Sumrall, is a young, first year now head coach, defensive mind, just like yourself. Was that one of the situations that kind of stuck out to you about this opportunity, getting to work with a like mind like that here at Troy?
Sure. Thanks, Justin. Well, yes. There's a lot of things that were a draw to this opportunity, and certainly my familiarity and my relationship with John was one of those. We probably met each other. Somebody was asking me probably back in 2016 for the first time, again through some mutual friends, and had periodically bumped into each other, kept up with each other, maybe a phone call or a text message, or Coach referenced the clinic a couple years ago where we spent a little bit of time together as well. So all those things, and as you develop relationships with people in the profession, it was very evident getting to know John that he's a man of integrity. He's got a lot of tremendous quality. Just listen to him in this press conference, to be sitting here as a first-time head coach and to see how he delivers his message, to see how he responds to questions. All those things are just so impressive about him. He's very impressive to be around. And again, when you start to hear the vision that he has, that's also where you get a you get a little sneak peek into, I think, his leadership process and his thought process and all those things. And then obviously he's a tremendous football coach, a great defensive coach. His resume speaks for itself in that regard. And yes, I'm excited as his defensive coordinator to have a guy sitting in his chair that I can rely on as a resource that I can go to help work through issues or problems that we may have at different times. And come up with solutions to help us continue to be successful. So all those things absolutely are very exciting.
Sheila, I'm curious, have you been on campus at Troy before you got the job, and what's your just first impressions of the facilities and that kind of thing?
That's a great question, John. So my first time on campus was about 10 a.m. yesterday morning. I'll be honest with you. I think so. My wife's from Columbus, and I'm a South Carolina guy. So if we went vacation into the beach in the summer, we go to the Carolina coast, the Grand Strand area. But my wife, when they would go to the beach, they'd go down to the Panhandle or whatnot. And so I think I've driven past Troy with her on the way to the beach with her family. But that's my experience up until yesterday. So driving in yesterday, finishing my drive from New York yesterday morning. And getting into the community, I'll be honest. I just first thing I did is I just kind of drove around a little bit and looked at some different areas, and then came over here to campus. And I know this. I was very impressed. My first impression driving through, I came up off of 231 up the hill, and the first building I saw, I guess, is that new fitness center over there on the left, and then across the street is you can see the end zone of the football stadium. So that was my first look at campus, and I was impressed. I drove past the stadium, and I'd seen the videos of the new end zone facility as far as the offices and locker room and things of that nature. So I checked that out a little bit, but kind of just circling around campus and then driving down the main campus drive, it's apparent that they've done a phenomenal job here just with the campus. And I like the fact that it's a true campus community, where I've worked at another school where you couldn't really tell where a campus began and ended, and this place, just the first time, quaint, well kept. Just driving past some of the different areas on campus, I was very impressed. It looks like there's been maybe a lot of new construction over the last 5-10 years, I would suspect. It looks like there's maybe been also some extensive renovations. The other thing that was impressive, I thought, was just kind of the overarching architectural theme where everything fit and matched. And you don't often see that when you step on a college campus. So it's apparent that the leadership here at Troy has been doing some phenomenal things